Hi, I'm Jon Levey with Peter Bodo for Tennis.com's U.S. Open Report. Pete, day 7, Andy Roddick rolls right through. Somebody who wasn't supposed to roll was Roger Federer. How'd he look against Stepanek today?
Well, that's absolutely right. You know, Roddick Stepanek took Federer out at the Italian Open on clay, no less. And Roger Federer is far and away the second best player in the world on clay. So you're thinking last year here, Stepanek had a great match against Djokovic. He lost that one narrowly, but we saw what Djokovic did. He went on and got to the final. So this guy can play on the hard courts. Roger looks sharper today than he has in a long time. You know, he's rifling the passing shots. He had a guy who pushed him, who came forward, who said, you're going to have to go for your shots to beat me. Roger Federer did it, and he closed the deal.
Somebody else who closed the deal today, Sybille Balmer, the last mother left standing. It was supposed to be Lindsay Davenport, but she lost last round to Bartoli, who Balmer beat today. Assess her performance.
Well, you know, it's kind of funny, but mother stories are big in tennis. You had Lindsay, you had Sybille Balmer actually had a great tournament in Indian Wells 2 years ago. She had a little daughter in the press room all the time. And there was, of course, Yvonne Goolagong, who was a mother who won Wimbledon. So, you know, people are very into these stories, and she takes a lot of energy out of these, too. So I think when you're looking at her game, she toughed the one out over Marion Bartoli 6-4 in the third today. Balmer has a solid left-handed serve. She's a good volleyer. If she came in a little bit more, she'd do, you know, even more damage probably. So, you know, she's in a fourth round. She could hurt some people.
Somebody who's flying under the radar a little bit, the number 5 seed, Nikolai Davydenko. He's made the semifinals here the past 2 years, made easy work of Dmitry Tursunov today. What do you think of his chances?
Well, you know, that was kind of an eye-opening win over Tursunov, because Tursunov's a very volatile player. You know, you never know what you're going to get with him, and he could just, you know, nail it and blow you out of there in 3 sets. So that was a very good win for Davydenko. Now, you all remember that he's been semis twice here, but he was a different player then. You know, earlier this year, he won Miami, beating Roddick and Nadal in that tournament. So this is a guy whose confidence could be in different shape. Now, granted, he really hasn't done a great job this summer. He's looked a little bit off his game, but he makes you work for everything. You know, there's perspiration and inspiration. This guy always produces the perspiration. When he produces the perspiration and the inspiration, he can be a very dangerous player.
Looking ahead to day 8, Agnieszka Radwanska and Venus Williams square off. Radwanska has a career win over Venus. How do you think that one's going to go?
Well, you know, it's kind of funny. You have the Polish rifle, Jaron Jaworski, the football commentator. Here you've got the Polish double-barrel shotgun. You've got Agnieszka and Ursula Radwanska, her sister. And, of course, you've got Venus and Serena Williams. You know what? They're 1-1 in terms of family rivalry. Serena beat Ursula in 2006, and Agnieszka beat Venus. Now, Agnieszka is the better player of the two. There's no question about that. And it promises to be a pretty good test for Venus Williams. I think if she can crank her serve and play as positively as she has off the ground, hitting that big forehand and really using her athleticism to cut off rallies before they become marathons, I think she'll be in good shape.
Match of the day, Sam Querrey going up against Rafa Nadal. How do you think that one's going to go?
Well, you know, I tell you, this is going to be a really interesting matchup, and one of the things that you see working here at this tournament is this surface. This surface really helps the server a lot. Now, one of the best ways to beat Nadal, maybe the only way to beat Nadal, is to keep him from playing. What Nadal specializes in is these great long rallies. He hangs in there tough. He makes you play every point. If you can end points before they really begin by hitting a big serve, knocking off the volley, maybe chipping and charging against his game, you know, you've got a shot, because I'll tell you, you're not going to beat Rafael Nadal any other way.
Not many people have. That wraps up day 7 from the National Tennis Center. I'm Jon Levey with Peter Bodo for Tennis.com's U.S. Open Report.